In my last video, I talked about design in context, and I promised that today I would talk about a skeleton-based design. For that, I'll be using NX, and I'll be using NX moving forward. I think whatever CAD software you have access to is great, and you can make it work. But I'm using NX, so there you go. Let me open a part where I've done some work, and I can show you how I've set things up. Here's a remote control car assembly I've done some work on. And what you'll see here, let me hide a few of these parts. And you'll start to see my skeleton show through. There we go. It's just lines and planes and reference geometry. But you can see here are my A-arms. These represent my shocks. And I start to just lay out the assembly. Here you can see this line represents my tie rods for my steering. And let's bring some things in. So you can see here, I've got the axis of my wheel that I've laid out. I can just place my wheel on that axis, and I start to put things together. Here's the front wheel. Mirrored those to get all four wheels. Let's see here. I think, let me show you something. I might have some, oh, here we go. I have a few things hidden. This box marks out my contact patches and lets me put the wheels in exactly the right spot. This is great because you're not going to make your own wheels from scratch. You're not going to make your own tires from scratch in a full-size car. You're going to buy them. And so what you want to do is mark out where those should go and place them exactly. Then you can see I've got the suspension geometry, and it's got a few angles and planes. This is where I'm designing some intent in. These are raked backwards so that when this car goes over bumps, the suspension will take it well. But also you'll notice that the arms, these planes, are slightly pinched together. That gives it an anti-dive effect so that when you hit the brakes in this vehicle, the nose won't dive down so much. The angle of these shocks and where they come into the suspension decides what's called the motion ratio. And that is for how much the wheels move, how much the shocks compress. And adjusting that motion ratio can have a big effect on your design. Another one is, if you look at, let's see, where is it? One of these sketches will have a roll center. Oh, here you see this point is the roll center. If you look at this suspension, it's set up so that the car will roll about this point right here. And setting the height of that roll center has a huge impact on your suspension performance. So with this skeleton, I'm able to just lay out this suspension in a way that it has a specific performance. And then I can start to design those parts on top of that skeleton. Let's see a few more of those come into play. Let's see, here's my chassis, which, by the way, comes to these suspension mounting points. Here I've designed a front arm, and it just covers that exactly. And this is another place where you can incorporate some standard parts. You might have a standard fastener or pin on this side. You might have a standard ball joint on this side. What you can do is you can bring those in, position them in exactly the right spot, and then design around them in context. That's how we mix some bottom-up design with some top-down design in context while putting everything in exactly the right spot and giving it the right behavior. So there you go. There's some top-down skeleton-based design, which is what I usually use because I can mix whatever I need between bottom-up, top-down, standard parts, custom parts, whatever you need to do. I find it very flexible. In fact, you can see I'm starting to place a few standard parts myself. I hope you have questions, and if you do, please leave them in my comments. I want to hear what you're thinking, and if you have a good question, I'll make a video about it.